Good morning, children. Hope you are all ready for the next lecture on biomolecules. And in today's session, we will be talking about the structure and shape of protein. Now, in the last video, we have already discussed that protein is having the simple unit, that is alpha amino acid. Yes, this is one alpha amino acid. This is another alpha amino acid I've taken. If you remember, in the last video, we have already discussed this part. If both are hydrogens, it is optically inactive amino acid, that is glycine. This is the structure for glycine. And the other one, if one H is methyl group, then it is called as alanine. This is alanine. Now, if one glycine and one alanine, these two combine together, right? So this part will come out as water. So we will remove here, we will write down here minus water. We will get this particular structure. This is a combination of glycine and alanine. So how do we write this? We will write like this as glycyl alanine. Glycyl alanine. Alanine. And we can represent like with the three-letter symbol GLY dash AL. Right? So this type of linkage which is formed between two amino acids, this linkage which is formed between two amino acids, this is called as peptide linkage. This is peptide linkage. Now, in this particular example, there are two amino acids which are linked together. So this will be called as dipeptide. Dipeptide bond. If three of them combine, tripeptide. Three different amino acids, maybe same, maybe different, but what is the sequence of that amino acid? We are going to discuss that part just now. So dipeptide, if two amino acids combine, if three are combining, tripeptide, if four are combining, tetrapeptide. Likewise, you will have polypeptide. Now what is polypeptide, children? If number of amino acids linked together by peptide linkages. So what is this peptide linkage? If I write separately, peptide linkage is nothing but CONH linkage. This linkage is called as a peptide linkage. This is called as a peptide linkage. So many such peptide linkages will join number of amino acids, will result in the formation of polypeptide chain. So basically, what is protein? Protein is a polypeptide chain in which number of amino acids link together. They link together and they form a chain. Suppose I write, roughly like this: one amino acid, second amino acid, third, fourth, fifth, like that. Many amino acids are linking. They will link by peptide linkage, and it will result in the formation of a polypeptide chain. Right, the number of the amino acids which are there in protein normally is 100 plus, with a molecular mass of around 10,000 U, but that is not fixed, because you have one particular, there is no exactly clear distinction between how many should be there, a difference between a polypeptide and a protein. You have one example, insulin. Insulin has a combination of 51 amino acids. There are 51 amino acids present in insulin. Clear? Please note down whatever I am discussing, right? So now we'll move on to the structure and the shape aspect of protein. That means we can actually explain the structure of the protein under four different headings. Right? That is primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. These are the four headings under which we can discuss the structure of protein: primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. Now, each one is explaining something about protein. Like, for example, if I say primary structure talks about the sequence of amino acid. What is the sequence in which amino acids are linked together? Like one example I had taken just now was glycine with alanine. Maybe some other amino acid, maybe leucine, maybe valine. What sequence they are linked together? That is the primary structure. So primary structure describes the sequence of amino acid. And any change in the sequence creates a different protein. That means if one particular sequence is there, glycine, alanine, valine, leucine, glycine, alanine, instead of valine it becomes leucine, it becomes a different protein. Means any change in the sequence will create a different protein. And proteins may have one or more polypeptide chains. It's not necessary there is only one polypeptide chain in it. Any protein may have one, or it may have even more polypeptide chains. What are polypeptide chains? I told you already. Amino acids, they link together by what? By peptide linkages. This is one chain, and it will result in the formation of a polypeptide chain. Like this, the protein may have one, or it may have many polypeptide chains. This is the primary structure. What sequence? It may be glycine, valine, leucine, aspartic acid. You will study, you must have seen many other, amino acids. So what sequence they are arranged? That is the primary structure. Change in any one protein, change in any one sequence will create a different protein. Now, what is a secondary structure? Secondary structure describes that what is the shape in which a polypeptide chain is existing. I have drawn, just a straight chain. It's not necessary that polypeptide chains exist in a straight manner. What is the shape in which the polypeptide chain exists? That is decided in the secondary structure. So what all shapes are possible? You have mainly, two shapes. It can be alpha helix or it can be beta pleated. Alpha helix, as the name only says, in alpha helix, the polypeptide chains, they exist in the form of the helix. Like for example, if it is say present like this, it is normally right-handed helix. Right-handed screw. Like you have seen on the screw at the bottom there are some circle, the spiral like thing is there. That is the meaning of the helix. So how are they held together? There is hydrogen bond which is holding them. There must be some CO in the center, means maybe some amino acid, that peptide linkage which we were saying, and on some other place there is some NH. So between O and H there must be H bond. So that is holding them together, and it becomes spirally held together. So normally it is right hand screw like structure. So the number of the H bonds are holding it, and it results in the formation of alpha helix. The second possibility is beta pleated. Now what is beta pleated structure? In the beta pleated structure, these polypeptide chains are stretched out to the maximum extension. Something like, if a layman, if we are trying to understand, it's something like this. It forms a sort of a pleat. Okay, the polypeptide chains are stretched out to the maximum extension, and they are held, they are lying side by side. And what is the force which is holding them? Again, it is intermolecular hydrogen bond. Intermolecular hydrogen bond is holding them together. I told you what is that intermolecular hydrogen bond. If I write separately, there must be CO, and on some other amino acid there must be NH. So between H and O there must be H bond. So that is holding them together. So there are two types of the structures which are there in secondary. This secondary structure you can also compare to the pleats. Suppose you have some cloth and we try to fold them like this. It will form a sort of a pleat. So this is beta pleated structure. Okay. Just further you can write, see, this particular secondary structure, it arises due to the regular folding of polypeptide chain due to H bond, right? So because of the H bond, it is getting folded together. CO on one particular amino acid gets linked to NH on another amino acid, and it holds them. It tries to fold it together. So if you take the example of the spring, the spiral which is there on the files, this will be alpha helix structure, right? So you can compare like that. CO must be somewhere here and NH here. Between them there is H bonding, so it will cause the folding of the spiral. This is alpha helix structure. Or if you're trying to compare that beta pleated, you can take any simple wire and explain. Suppose you have like this, one, and the another one like this. I mean, it forms a sort of a pleat. The pleats may be, somewhat closer to each other. So something is holding them together. What is holding them together is the H bond, right? So these are the two different things which are there in the secondary structure. I hope these two are clear to you. Primary structure talks about the sequence in which amino acids are linked together, and this polypeptide chain, once it is formed, that polypeptide chain may not necessarily be in a straight manner. It will be either alpha helix or it will be beta pleated. Now we will come to the tertiary structure. Now the tertiary structure arises by further folding of the secondary structure. Once this spiral is there or beta pleated, may not be just spiral in a straight manner. That spiral thing may further fold. So because of the further folding of the secondary structure, you will get a tertiary structure. So again, it gives rise to two molecular shapes. Which two molecular shapes? You have one fibrous, another one globular and globular. These two we have discussed, two types of proteins in the previous video, right? Globular and fibrous. Fibrous means thread-like. Thread-like. And globular means, these polypeptide chains may fold together and it will form a ball-like thing. So this is globular structure. And the main forces which are, the main forces which stabilize the secondary and the tertiary structures are hydrogen bond, it is disulfide linkage, disulfide, SS linkage, disulfide linkage. It can be van der Waals forces, and also electrostatic forces of attraction. Electrostatic forces of attraction. So for each type, we should be knowing what type of the forces are responsible for creating this type of structure, right? For secondary, we said only hydrogen bond. For tertiary, we said there are four different types. Number one is hydrogen bond, second disulfide linkage, third van der Waals forces, and the fourth one is electrostatic forces of attraction. So this is about the secondary structure. Now, what about tertiary structure? Once this chain is, primary structure was there, the sequence, then you have the further folding of the secondary is tertiary. Now there may be many such, structures, polypeptide chains which are there in this tertiary form. So what is the spatial arrangement? I'll just show you here. Yes. What is the spatial arrangement of the polypeptide chains with respect to each other? That is explained in quaternary structure. Like, for example, in the primary, secondary, you had like this. Further folding is, in the tertiary structure, and many such tertiary structures. When they combine together, what will be there? It will be like a jumble-like structure. Many polypeptide chains, when they get, entangled with each other, then it is, called as a quaternary structure. Clear? I hope this part is clear. Here it was the sequence. Here it is folding. Here it is folding and further folding of it. In the last one, it is secondary, tertiary, one structure, secondary, tertiary, another. Many such polypeptide chains will combine together and result in the formation of a ball like structure, very entangled, like you have suppose seen the wool. Your mother sometimes, using that wool to make the sweater and all. So that wool threads are there. When they get threads that get entangled, it's very difficult to remove them out. So that is said to be the quaternary structure, right? So you can take screenshot in between and please maintain the notes. I have told you all the differences and what is explained by each type: primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary. Okay, so one more topic is left over in this. We are going to discuss that is denaturation of proteins. Denaturation of protein. Now, let us understand what is denaturation of protein. This was the quaternary structure we said, right? The entangled one, many polypeptide chains are there. This is a quaternary structure. What if we try to heat this? This is heated. This is the quaternary structure and the quaternary structure is heated. If not heated, there is some change in the pH. We try to make it little acidic or basic. We try to change the pH, or some chemical changes, some any other chemical change we try to bring. What will happen? This structure will open up. This will get unfolded. It will get unfolded. So that unfolding thing of the protein is called as denaturation. So how we can define this denaturation of protein? We can define like this, that when protein in native form is this form, in the original form, when this in the native form is subjected to some physical changes, maybe say in temperature, as I said, or chemical change, or a chemical change. For example, pH. You change the pH. What will happen? This gets unfolded. Why it is actually getting unfolded? The hydrogen bonds break. Hydrogen bond breaks. Whatever hydrogen bonds are holding them together, no? So they break. It results in unfolding of the globules. Results in unfolding of the globules, or you can say even the helix. And the protein loses its biological activity. It loses its biological activity. This process, it is called as denaturation of protein. Now, what exactly happens in that denaturation? We see that this was 4-degree structure. 4-degree means quaternary. The quaternary structure breaks. So what is happening? Quaternary structure gets disturbed. Secondary structure also may get disturbed. Tertiary structure may get destroyed, but 1-degree structure remains intact. The primary structure remains intact. So what is happening in denaturation? In denaturation, the quaternary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure is getting affected, because that is getting opened up. That means again it is coming back into the same polypeptide chain form. But the sequence of the amino acid, that is not going to change. So the 1-degree structure is not getting disturbed at all. This process is called as the denaturation of the protein. This is called as denaturation, because the peptide bonds, the peptide linkages will not be getting affected. They are not going to break. So examples we can consider for denaturation of the protein. One such example is coagulation. Coagulation of egg. When we boil egg, it becomes hard. Actually, egg is having protein. So when you are heating it, the quaternary structure, secondary, tertiary, all get affected. So only 1 degree is left over. So that is one such example of, denaturation. Second example you can take is curdling of milk. Curdling of milk. Sometimes I saw this one question, it's very interesting. It is asked that what happens to entropy? What happens to the entropy of when the egg is boiled? When you're boiling the egg, what happens to the entropy? Think over it. Now, just see. Normally, what you think is protein egg in the normal raw form is in the liquid state, right? Liquid, flowy. But when you are heating it, when you're boiling it, it becomes hard. Normally, children feel it is the entropy is decreasing, but the entropy is increasing. Entropy increases when you are boiling the egg. Why it is increasing? Because when you are heating it, coagulation has occurred, means denaturation of protein has occurred. Only 1 degree is left over. This was more compact, held by number of forces, but that has opened up now. So entropy of the egg increases by boiling, by coagulation. Okay. I hope you have followed the structure of the protein properly. If you like the video, please do like it, share it with your friends so that more number of the students are getting benefited by whatever videos I'm uploading on YouTube. Thanks for watching.